welcome to Movie Review Mom. Today the movie I'm reviewing is The Aftermath, the 2019 version of the movie. This movie is rated R. It's 1 hour and 48 minutes, and the grade that I gave it hovers somewhere between a C plus and a B minus. And I'll tell you why. But first, in a quick nutshell, the movie is about the aftermath of World War II in devastated Hamburg, Germany. So an English married couple, a military man and his wife, end up living in the home and sharing the home with a German widow who is the homeowner, and his daughter. And it's directed by James Kent. It's sort of a historical melodrama / romance, and it's based on a novel by the same name written by Redian Brooke. So first, some tips for parents. It's rated R. A little bit because of language. There's not that much bad language, but there are some F-bombs. And then there is some nudity with some sex scenes. So there's that. I think there are some moments where you see images of Holocaust victims. One in particular is a real picture of real life naked bodies, the Jews that were just slaughtered and went to the gas chamber. So that's horrifying. And then there are several people in the movie that die. You see images of dead bodies, blood. You actually see people die, that kind of thing. Although it's not like this huge World War II movie where there's just this huge high body count. It's just part of painting the picture. Sorry, my voice assistant just went off. But it's sort of painting a picture of the aftermath of World War II and this Englishman whose job in the military is to kind of clean up the mess that was part of this city's experience of World War II. Anyway, that whole aspect of the movie is really interesting, but it might not be appropriate for children in that regard. Some positive themes of the movie are redemption and forgiveness, betrayal, love versus lust, judging others, and loss and grief. So the characters in this movie all have experienced a certain amount of loss and grief, and they're all sort of clashing together as they're trying to understand what happened and move on with their lives and to move forward with their lives. And getting a fresh start is also a big theme of this movie. There are some stunning aerial visuals of Hamburg, this devastated city, that are from the sky looking down on this city. And then all of the other visuals and sets are down on the ground kind of thing. And they're pretty amazing. It looks like you're in World War II, Hamburg, Germany. It's just really impressive what they did. Everything looks authentic. The people look legit German after having suffered through this war. And it's just such a heartbreaking period of history. And I think that they did a really good job showing just the chaos that resulted of such a devastating war as was World War II. Keira Knightley has the luxury of playing her beautiful self, this beautiful woman who gets to wear lovely clothes, and she's in need of a forbidden romance. Not a big stretch for her, right? She's done that a million times. And so this movie feels very familiar because we've seen her in that role a million times. Does she do it well? Yes. Is it anything new? Does it add anything new to the story? Well, maybe this World War II setting, I suppose, even though she's kind of been in Europe and in some of these other situations a little bit before as well. She is in a one nude scene, and I'm told she used a body double for that. And then there's one scene where it's very inappropriate for children to see, but there's no nudity. So there's that. So she and her husband in this movie, played by Jason Clarke, have actually played husband and wife before in the movie Everest. We usually see movies that highlight war and not that much that highlight this aftermath. Although some people have complained this movie's trying to do too much. Is it a war movie? Is it a romance? Is it a historical drama? It's too much. And I tend to disagree. I mean, look at the movie The Sound of Music. It was a war historical movie of sorts, right? And a romance and a musical, and it did it all very, very well. So it doesn't bother me that it's trying to touch on several of these things. It's not one or the other, it's a blend, and I'm totally fine with that. The music in the movie is actually really beautiful, especially after the movie, during the rolling credits, I thought were really pretty and kind of in a hauntingly beautiful way. While the movie is cliched and while we can say it's fairly predictable, I was actually surprised by the ending a little bit. It didn't seem to quite make sense for the characters, I thought. But I'm always pleasantly surprised when a movie pleasantly surprises me. So don't go in thinking you know exactly what's going to happen. Um, let's see, a couple of things that I didn't really like. Well, first of all, I hate adultery, and I don't know. I haven't given you any spoilers. You can watch the trailer and know that there's this affair that happens. And I just hate seeing that. And no marriage is perfect, but adultery just doesn't solve any problems. And I understand all the characters are wounded and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying I didn't score the movie badly because of the topic. That's just the topic of the movie, and it handled it somewhat well. And maybe it's just that the handling of it wasn't done as well. For example, the lust factor is extremely high. There's no flirting or romance or substantive relationship building that leads up to this affair. It's just like wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, kind of a all of a sudden it happens. And I'm like, whoa. And so I would have liked to have had a little bit more lead up to that. And I've heard that in the book, as is the case with most book adaptations into films, that there's more character development in the book and that kind of thing. And so it's a little bit more satisfying in the book than just this quick, let's get this going, in the movie kind of a thing. And of course I look at these relationships, and obviously they're flawed, between husband and wife, father and daughter, people having affairs, even the friendships have very flawed relationships, which I think is a really interesting element of the movie. It evolves very slowly, other than the quick, thing that happens. And I've noticed that in a lot of reviews that I've looked at, some just regular audience members, not official movie critics, just say nothing really happens. It moves slowly and then it's over. And it's kind of true that I would have liked to have seen a little bit more happen. There are some things that happen. I'm not saying nothing happens, but it's a very serious drama. And I think because it's a movie, moments that were probably covered better in the book are just sort of quickly chopped up. And so there's some editing issues, but it's just sort of the story itself just sort of is chopped together rather than letting it unfold in a more natural way or a better way. Maybe it sounds like I'm contradicting myself. I don't know. There are some definite moments of, what is happening here? Not just the audience watching, but the characters are like, what's happening? And in fact, one of them says, Keira Knightley, she says, this isn't how it's supposed to be. And then her husband says, none of this is how it's supposed to be. Yet here we are. And of course, they're referring to the crazy, chaotic world that resulted from World War II. But then audience members are kind of feeling like that as well. Like, so wasn't supposed to happen this way. And yet here we are. Anyway, those are kind of my 2 cents. If you're into romance and you love Keira Knightley, you'll probably really love this movie. If you looked at the trailer and went, nah, I know what's going to happen, then you can pass it. I was just looking to make sure that this was held right side up. Anyway, I hope if you see the movie that you enjoy, be sure and comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Woo! There's my thing just broke. And be sure and visit my website, moviereviewmom.com, where I go into even more in-depth reviews. Anyway, bye for now.